It began as a day of fun, a Hartford family out for a ride on their motorcycles when tragedy struck. But this story has a happy ending. In tonight's cover story, Vivian King tells us how a one-day crash course meant the difference between life and death.
It was a beautiful day, sunny, warm.
Dan and Chris Chronister and their sons, Danny and Dusty, were headed home after a day of riding their motorcycles when suddenly the pavement buckled in front of them.
I hit it, flew 5 feet up in the air.
She came by, her tires was about eye height when she went by me.
I landed and I had full control of the bike, but Danny was dragging on the road.
As Chris struggled to pull Danny off the ground, her front tire skidded on gravel. She and Danny were thrown from the motorcycle.
He went flying and she just went like an arrow into the ground and they were done.
Dan stopped his bike, checked on their youngest son, Dusty, who wasn't hurt, and ran to his wife and oldest son.
I heard Danny hollering and crying, so I know he was alive, but Chris wasn't moving at all. And when I went to her, she was no pulse.
He said I had no pulse. I was dead.
There was really no time to think.
Dan began CPR on Chris, and after several minutes, she began to breathe. He then moved to Danny, tending to his injuries with basic first aid.
Chris was then brought here to Frederick Hospital with extensive injuries, but she was alive thanks to the quick action of her husband and the life-saving techniques he learned at a class he had taken just months before the accident.
Dan was required to take the safety class because he's an officer in his motorcycle chapter. At the time, he didn't think much about it.
Basically, I thought it was a way to spend an afternoon with my buddies, you know, and I never dreamed I would learn as much as I did.
But what he learned that day likely saved Chris's life.
If he wouldn't have been there to take care of us, we wouldn't be here today.
Chris says the accident won't stop her from the hobby she loves or appreciating her second chance at life.
That's life. There isn't much you can do about it but live each day and to the fullest and be thankful for what you have.
For the night team, Vivian King, today's TMJ4.